Hello, Facebook world. Good afternoon. It is 12:02, so says my clock. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. We'll wait a few minutes just for people to come on in. We got two people with us. Hello. Patricia Garrison. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you guys throw it in the comments if you can hear me fine? Hello, 14 people. Man, sorry guys. I'm trying to get things sorted and whatnot over here. We were unable to do it on the computer, so I'm doing it on my phone. So sometimes, like, when I reach around to get stuff, I might block the camera view. That squealing baby is my beautiful 7-month-old daughter. So it's 12:03. Just gonna wait just a couple of minutes, maybe one more minute. Patricia, I am right now in Southern California, just outside of Santa Barbara, in my partner's territory. But we got 40 people. It's 12:04. Let's get this party going. Let's do it. Hello, and welcome everyone to today's Power Hour. With me, Josh. Thank you, Native Wellness Institute, and I20SP for giving me the time to be able to sit down and talk with everyone here. Welcome to my house. This is my room where I stay with my beautiful wife, Eva Pagling, and our two children. Our son's name is Antok, and in Samala, which is the band of Chumash that my partner comes from, it means more than a friend. And then my daughter's name is Tsoge Horoma, and that name means she kills in the snow. And my name is Kongulaka. My English name is Joshua Cocker. So I'm in Southern California right now, but I was born in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand, way back in the 1900s. And I've been moving and bouncing around the world, working in the outdoors for a number of years, and also doing construction too. Oh man, and then I came to the States in 2016, and met the Josephs, Jillian Joseph, the executive director of the Native Wellness Institute, as well as Shay and their whole family. Christmas in 2016. And that's how I kind of got hooked up with these guys. Because before, I was just an outdoor instructor, leading expeditions, whether it was sea kayaking back home in New Zealand, rock climbing instructor, both in New Zealand and here in the States. And then when I met them, I was leading a whole bunch of kids around in the desert in Arizona. And then boom, all of a sudden, we're here. We are here. So welcome everyone. If you could, I can kind of see your comments coming up. Feel free to interact, ask questions. I will try to catch those as they come. And as well, definitely introduce yourselves. Tell us where you're from in the comments section as well. Love to be able to see that. 46 people, man. We've been doing this every day since we started, I believe, in April of last year. And it's been a really incredible journey. So if you guys have ever gotten a chance to see some of the other Power Hours, or if you've been like a super soldier and seen all of the Power Hours, congratulations. The Native Wellness Institute is putting together this media archive of indigenous wisdoms and posting it to our Facebook page, obviously, that we're viewing this on, but also our YouTube page. So if you get a chance to check out that channel and look at all that stuff, man, there's tons of good stuff. And this is going to be part of it. So today we're going to be talking about progress, and purpose. And I just want to start with a little story. about kind of growing up. I'm quite young still. I'm 28. Well, 28 on the 17th of this month. So when I was young, like watching my dad work super hard and a lot, and my mom as well, I feel like that type of got to get things done, let's do it ourselves mentality was ingrained in me from just being around them in that household, and sometimes not around them in that household. But when I got older, getting closer to 13, 14, I was asked to be the Ade Tali of the Tongkonga Warrior Society. So I'm Koigu, I'm Kaiwa on my mom's side, and Tongan on my father's side. Traditionally, Kaiwas actually come from the cold country, is how we call it, translated into English, which is up in Montana area. Wyoming, our creation story comes from the Yellowstone region. And I learned during that time when I was asked to be the Ade Tali, that translates to favorite son. But what that all entails is we're asked to remember stories, teachings, and our protocol and ceremony. And there's 2 boys and 2 girls in every generation. And the idea is that we grow up in this way, and so that we share those things as we're learning them, and there is no, I was gonna say distance, but there is no barrier between like leadership or those in the society and those without, right? Because we all should know how things roll. And so when I was learning at that young age about our histories, about our protocol, I began to realize that it's like an indigenous practice. It is an indigenous way of being to get things done, to be on time. My grandpa used to talk about Indian time is on time, man. You know, you couldn't be late for a hunt. You couldn't be late to travel, otherwise you might not make it to the campsite or encampment that you were heading to. He's like, we were on time. We got up early, went to sleep with the sun, did what we needed to do, and I loved that. I know that I was given a lot of privilege in that sense growing up. My community is not super rich by any means in terms of money, but to be able to have those teachings passed on to me as a young person was very helpful. As I progressed and got older, naturally, when you learn something, right, we begin to grow up with it if we choose to keep it. And in turn, those things begin to keep us as well. And as I was growing up with this idea of this is our way to make things happen when we need them to happen, doors started opening. My life started to become my own. And I feel like that enabled me to step into adulthood in a much more confident way. And now as a father, as a young father, definitely not claiming like I know everything, that's for sure. Like I get bamboozled sometimes when we pull our baby out of the car seat and there's poop like everywhere. As well as our 3-year-old in his tantrums, you know, don't really know what to do about that. But I feel like I have enough to be able to navigate these situations as they come. And that is the power of the purpose that was given to me as a young person. And so I kind of want to explore that with everyone here today. Thank you so much, again, for joining us and throwing stuff up in the comments. As we're going through, if we were in person, my favorite question during conversations is, what are you thinking? I feel like that gives a really good indication as to where we're at in the conversation and where to move forward from as well. And so I want to just throw that out there now at the beginning, and continually, if you wouldn't mind asking yourselves too, as I'm speaking and as you're reading the comments, what are you thinking? And feel free to share those things. We're trying to facilitate and build a safe and brave space in these power hours. So definitely a place for collaboration here. So when I was younger, I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into that idea of being gifted the concept of purpose and being allowed to grow up with it. When I was younger, being able to spend a lot of time outside in Oklahoma. For those of you from Oklahoma, if you're not from Tulsa, Oklahoma City, there's not much else to do but go outside. So when we were younger and running around outside, we learned a lot of things. One of the things I was told was, plants speak in the language of service. they only speak in the language of service. And on a couple of power hours before, I've mentioned this as well. And I hope that if you're hearing this for another time, that our understanding collectively is beginning to build on it. And if you're hearing it for the first time, I would invite you to accept this gift and let it take hold and see what it means for you as well. But I had explained to me like this, that plants speak in the language of service. Tobacco helps us pray. And when we are smoking our pipes, it takes out the bad from the inside, and we're able to release that and let it go. And then as well as sage and cedar, sweetgrass are various medicines that we pray with. They carry our prayers and our words, our thoughts and our feelings to Creator and our people who have passed on and walked on from this life. Another way that they serve us is up in the Northwest. When I was lucky enough to be able to move around pre-COVID, they carry us literally across the waters. My dad's people, the same thing. We have strong sailing culture and navigation, celestial navigation culture in the Pacific. And that's one way that they serve us as well. Another way that they serve us is that they help us with our lodge poles. They literally house us. Another way that they serve us, now that we know because of modern science, is that they take in our toxins that we exhale and they gift us back breath, clean, fresh, breathable air to sustain us. Another way that they serve us with that same breath that they give us is this breath that we're drawing on right now, wherever you are. If you're lucky enough to be in your traditional territory, which I was when I learned this teaching, we're drawing on the same breath that has been there since the beginning of time. And so our trees are literally tying us to our people in that way. So all of the power and wisdom and beauty and skills that were available to our ancestors, that we revere and hold up and promote in so many different ways, those people are reaching through time and space to us now, and they are breathing with us. And that's a beautiful thought. I actually loved that teaching. And, to take that a step further, the actions that we're taking right now, the lives that we're leading right now, they will be part of the gift that we leave our people in the future. And so when I'm gone, when my daughter's here and our son survives us, they're going to be drawing on the same breath that their parents drew on. And here in the traditional territory of my beautiful wife, our children are drawing on the breath of their ancestors, and it is part of the resiliency that is building within their spirit. And it's not only giving them life, but it's empowering them and pushing them forward. So that's plants, the plant nation, our relatives there. All of creation speaks in a language that we can understand, and it even speak in a way that we have the ability to speak back to them. I learned that water speaks in the language of love. So you throw a rock into a pond and it kind of ripples out. It doesn't hold on to that mark where the rock hit the water. It lets it go. Yeah. If you were to step in the bank of a moving river, your footprint might be there for a bit, but eventually that flowing water will erase the mark that you made. I was told that this is the way to love. This is the way to care for others. In Oklahoma, we have real big thunderstorms in the plains. And sometimes when you're out there running around and playing, the water can come down so hard and fast. It feels heavy on your clothes, like it's pulling it off of you. That all-encompassing, seemingly like never-ending horizon of constant flow of water that covers your body and weighs you down, that too is how we're meant to love. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a cow tank, but let me paint a picture here. It's just a divot in the ground, and then farmers fill it full of water, and it gets all nasty, and there's like cow poop and like all kinds of mosquitoes and stuff. Definitely not the cleanest source of water, but it is a source. And then if you can grasp in your mind a clean flowing water, that clean flowing water has power, direction, and flow because of the banks of the river or the creek that you're thinking of. So we were told, like, you want to be a cow tank or you want to be a river? It's like, oh, of course I want to be a river. Cow tank's freaking disgusting. So we were told we have to have boundaries, like those banks of the river, or the creek. And those boundaries can shift. And as it shifts, it will redirect the water, But holding those boundaries is what keeps us safe, and it's what gives our love power, direction, and flow. If you can think of like a real steep canyon, if you've ever seen whitewater kayakers go in these really small chutes, like the water is pumping through there at incredible rates, sometimes upwards of like thousands of cubic feet per second. And so those steep, hard canyon walls are also representative, little kind of English right now, of how we're meant to keep our boundaries. Yeah. Another teaching that I was given was of the wind, a story about the wind, which actually came with knife safety. So I've done this before, but bear with me. If you've heard this before, it's good to hear it again. So this is a knife. This is a knife that was given to me by my cousin. It's really pretty. It's got a buffalo nickel on the end, an antler handle, and a Benchmade blade. So when I was learning how to use a knife as a boy, they talked about, like having a firm grip on your blade and your material, always stroking away from your body, and repositioning yourself so that you're always safe. Yeah, you don't let that blade come towards you, for obvious reasons. My grandpa said, the wind has a spirit of its own, and it moves around and it gathers like thoughts and words and feelings. And at the end of our walk, one of the things that the wind does is that it gifts all those things back to us. And in those moments when we receive them, we can be happy, we can be sad. Those are the only two options it gave me, but I feel like we're all gonna be kind of somewhere on all over the extremes and spectrum. He said, if you don't have good things to say, you don't have to fill the air with your words. Yeah, like a knife. When you're done working, put it away. We leave it out like that. It's dangerous for ourselves and for others. He's like, you run out of stuff to say, and eventually the BS starts coming out. So just close your mouth when you're done, little man. I was like, okay, for sure. I like that. So these are the ways that my people and my culture that I was born into, gifted me the concept of purpose. And these simple stories that they shared with me have evolved into some pretty significant teachings for myself and my family as I've grown up. On my dad's side, on my Tongan side, there's something that they talked about as well, the idea of our kalia, which kalia is our word for our vaka, or canoe. And our canoes were massive, big enough to be able to carry 100 plus people with materials as well. So it could be like animals and whatnot, and they would travel across vast open oceans to be able to get to these other islands, which are just like on a, world scale, just dots in the sea. And they did it so well that they are now considered the best navigators of that time. There was a phrase that sounded super cool when you say it out loud, and I can't remember it right now, but they're really good at what they do. So these guys, one of the teachings that they had about the ocean is that the oceans of the world are the bloodline of this planet, of our first mother, the world. And they said that the oceans do not divide us, they connect us. So one of the ways that we live this teaching is, I do it when we go down to the beach here, it being the Pacific, also touching Aotearoa, or New Zealand, the place of my birth and where my family is right now. And my older brother living in Australia, also being touched by the Pacific Ocean. When I am in that water, my spirit and my mind, my senses are extended through that water, and they touch those places. And so I'm home with my family. Those ideas, these cultural belief systems and practices are designed to be able to keep us safe. They're designed to be able to restore us to balance when we fall out of balance. And they are designed to be able to empower us with understanding to move forward in the best ways. And I don't know how old everyone is on this call. In my cultures, both cultures, me being 28, if I'm younger, I'm not in a place to be able to teach or preach at you. So if I am younger, please accept all these things as as helpful gifts and given in the spirit of love. If you are younger than me, then I'm definitely trying to share some teachings with you here, my friends. So, purpose. Why was purpose so important to our people? I don't know if you guys have ever spent a bunch of time outside before, and whether you have or whether you haven't, both are good, and it's more just like a sign of our times. I've been blessed to be able to spend quite a bit of time outside. For example, my most recent big expedition went from Tucson, Arizona up to Kanab, Utah, and it took just over 2 years. And it was a great experience for me, and hopefully for my children as well. But during that time, I learned quite a few things. One of the things that I learned was that when you're outside, you know, sometimes when we get together at ceremony or we're sitting around the table talking with our families, when we talk about cultural practices and tradition, it can seem quite rigid and it can seem quite serious and spiritual. And all those things are true, most definitely. But spending that much time outside, I learned that you can't stoically look off into the distance all day. You got to have some fun. You got to get out and you got to do something different. You got to mix it up. You know, maybe trying cooking something different or throwing in some ridiculous ingredient to be able to see just what it tastes like, or laughing at each other's farts. Like, it gets wild out there. And I think that from my understanding, from being able to live and travel across the land, tied to the time of the sun, and being able to eat off of the land as well throughout that travel, I learned that purpose is everything in this life. And some people, I've heard anthropologists say that our culture is just a grasping of purpose because we didn't have much in terms of industry, or there was another factor in there, but doesn't matter. I don't subscribe to that idea, and I do not believe that that's true. I think our people chose to live a life full of purpose because they understood the importance of that. To be able to stand, sleep, eat, walk, and communicate with purpose, it's what made us powerful as a people. So I have a question for you now. It's a rhetorical question. If you feel so inclined, definitely put it up in the comments. But my question to you is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? Now, that's such a broad question. It's like, do you mean life, today, right now, like this week, or like year goals? Like, what do you mean? What is your purpose? And you can define that for however you would like to do that. I hope that we have an understanding that our purpose changes and that it moves and evolves and it grows up with us. And as we do those things and as they evolve, like, we're going to be asked to step into some pretty incredible things. These new types of purpose that we will engage in throughout our life's walk and journey is the progress, the second part of what I'm talking about. And I think that these questions are incredibly important for a number of reasons. Whether you've thought about these every day, you know, since you were born, or maybe this is one of the few times out of your week, year, or life that you're choosing to think about it, it is always a good practice and way to check in with ourselves. What is our purpose? That will define how we move forward and what it is that we choose to do about that purpose. That will in turn set the scope or define our progress in the future. These tools and these gifts are not unique to my cultures, nor are they unique to my geographical area, right? Because wisdom sits in places. I'm just saying that like everybody knows that. I believe that wisdom sits in places. And that's why our cultures are so different in terms of cultural practices. There's overlay for sure. You know, having visited the Aboriginal people in Australia, the Maori people in New Zealand, and the number of tribes in Papua New Guinea, as well as here's Turtle Island, Samoa, like, I can see that there are similarities in our cultures. I think what makes us special, unique, and beautiful in every sense of the word are the differences in our people. And so I believe that wisdom sits in places, and that depending on where we are from, we will be afforded certain insights. Your people have been gifted similar insights that can build on, empower, and even sometimes replace some of the things that I've been talking about, since we started. My encouragement to everyone here is to try to learn as much of those things as possible. Without getting into like the historical and intergenerational trauma piece, there's a strong push to not eradicate necessarily. I think that's a byproduct of what's happening, but I think there's a strong push to be able to redirect our thinking and our way of life into more of an assimilated way of doing things, into more of a Western way of doing things. And that's all fine and well, I suppose. But our people were gifted these things by Creator for the purpose of helping the people progress. And we are a part of those people. So if we can learn anything, from our stories, songs, just words in our language, then we'll be able to help our ancestors' visions move forward. And we will be afforded the same blessings that they were given as well. But I'm loving the comments, guys. I'm seeing quite a few things come through. I have seen a couple of comments posted, something to the effect of, I don't know my purpose, I'm uncertain about those things. Don't worry about that, it's all good. You have incredible gifts that are given to you right now that are empowering your progression. I just want to paint this picture too. All of us here who are drawing breath are gifted life every day. And we have the ability to drink the water of our first mother, like we drink the water of our mother that we were born out of. As we drink that water, as we draw in this air, as we eat these foods, and as we continue on in the families that we're born in, we hopefully become more aware of the gift that we're given. My question to you all is, what do those things mean to you? What does it mean to be gifted air? What does it mean to be gifted water? What does it mean to be gifted daylight, permission to be able to move and act in whatever way you see fit? When you sleep, you're watched in your unconscious state as your spirit is free by the moon of our sisters. Like, what does that mean to you? It's massive, massive implications. One of the things that I have come to learn, and that I was told as well, but still learning, even though I was told it a while ago, is that we are worthy of those things, only the best things in this life. Yeah? So, the natural world as we see it, our first mother, who teaches all women how to love their children perfectly, who teaches all boys how to love the daughters of creation in the way that they're intended. Our first mother has chosen her purpose to be our success in this life. That's why the trees breathe for us. That's why the waters wait to sustain us. That's why the sun rises for you every day, for you every day. That's why the moon rises to visit you each night. Our animal relatives are waiting to offer themselves to you because that is the purpose that this world has chosen. Your success. Your success. The stars, coming from my dad's side in the Pacific, we use the stars to navigate vast oceans, like I said, to visit relatives, to go fight enemies, to fish, to be sustained. Those stars that guide us, the place where Creator is, Daki or Otua, Himafi Mafi, the sky has also chosen its purpose to be our success. So the way that I view it, having these two teachings from my different cultures, is that we're here standing, laying with, walking with our first mother. And we're watched in between our Creator. And in between the love of these two parents, we stand. That's why we can become anything that we want, from a drug addict to a repeating felon to a ceremonial keeper to the greatest dad ever or an astronaut. Like, whatever we want to do, we can do it. The reason is because we get to decide our purpose and our success. And we are empowered by everything that is in existence. I suppose I should have started with that first. You are beautiful. You are powerful. You are important. You would not have been gifted these things if you were not. So whatever's going on in your life, whatever kind of week you're having or year you had, man, geez, I hope that sits with you. I hope that sits well. If you're feeling like, nah, probably not me, probably talking about someone else. No, I most definitely am talking about you. Every single one of us here who draws breath has been gifted those things, has been afforded that blessing, and has been empowered with these histories, and can be empowered by these teachings as well. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Moving on. So, my, sorry, 1 second. Screen went dark there for a second. Did you guys lose me? Hope I wasn't just talking to my phone there. My hope, for all of us in our various communities, if I may be so bold to say, is that our people can establish ourselves in every place with purpose and progress in a way that uplifts those around us. Our ancestors did this in some crazy ways. I think some ways that our modern way of thinking and being might be kind of uncomfortable with at times. For example, coup was a way that we established ourselves with purpose. And we used coup to move forward with progression. So counting coup or taking coup on someone or something is a way to, the way it was explained to me was like to mark an enemy and to let them live. You like rob them of the sense of ever trying to hurt you again. And so like one way that you could do that is ride in on your horse into an enemy encampment and like stake your lance and just like cry around and ride the freak out of there without being touched. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to maim an enemy but allow them to live. And that like mental like trauma, like, oh crap, that guy was psycho, I don't want to mess with him again. That's another type of coup. Traditionally, we had a coup that we counted on people that hated us. There was a story about these Spanish soldiers who were these invading forces in what's now Mexico and Texas, and they hated us so much that they sought to kill us, right, to do us wrong. And so what a band, multiple bands and various war parties did was they rode against these Spanish warriors, and they killed them. And when they killed them, they would take their children, and what they would do with their children is make them our own. And we saw that as like a way of writing their bloodline. So your parents hated us, but they can't hate you because you're their children. Now you carry our names, you speak our language, you know our ways. You are us, yeah? And so it was a way of like removing that hatred from that lineage. Very extreme in terms of like what it means in today's world, and laws. Like that stuff wouldn't fly at all in today's judicial system. But we're still counting coup today. Every time someone graduates from any educational institution, whether it's like elementary school, middle school, high school, all the way up to like a PhD candidate, and they become a doctor, that's counting coup. And the reason why I say that is because those educational spaces, those Western educational spaces, were not meant for us. And we know that they're not meant for us because of the boarding school period. They said we're going to use these schools to save the man and kill the Indian in these people. Another way that we're counting coup in today's world is by staying sober or getting sober or helping someone get sober, staying away from substances that our people did not use traditionally. Yeah, so some people are like, oh man, yeah, mushrooms, those are terrible. Okay, I agree with that. I personally would not use those things. But those things are medicines to some people in the world. So whatever it is to our people, whatever that means to stay sober, to be sober, that's a way of counting coup. Another way of counting coup is either holding down a job, freaking creating your own job, like providing for our family in this modern sense. We don't have the ability to be able to go and hunt buffalo on the open plains anymore. I suppose some people could, but for most of us, we don't because of the world that we live in, right? And so being able to evolve our cultural practices to meet the day's needs and to help empower our families. Like you're a provider. If you go to work every day and you're out there like making that money for all the honeys in your own home, I'm not talking about like going and playing around or anything, but making that money. And if you're buying meat at the grocery store and bringing that home, like, did you hunt that meat? No. Are you provided? Heck yeah, you are. Yes, that's one way that we're counting coup. Another way that we're counting coup is continuing to speak our languages. I'm bringing this up on the heels of that idea of like, I might not be aware of my purpose, or I have not yet gotten around to choosing my purpose. We are currently right now walking and moving with purpose, and as we're doing those things, we're progressing as a people, and I wanted to applaud and celebrate you all for doing those things. Again, another way that we could count coup in today's world is just showing up, man, choosing life, like waking up, having a bad day, but deciding I'm going to continue on in this life because I just want to do it. If we can't say it's beautiful and it's everything that was meant for me, I just want to do it. That's power. That's progress, and that's purpose. And so I just wanted to paint that picture for us as we continue on. Awesome. Guys, the comment section is not rolling on my screen, so I'm going to try to see them as they come up. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. Okay, cool. Please feel free to comment, ask questions, and if it's intended for me and I miss it during the power hour, I will try to come back to it and answer them in post. But yeah, also encouraging you to remember that question of like, what am I thinking right now? Let's take that a step further. What am I feeling? Okay, I'm back. It said I disconnected there. Sorry about that. What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? And maybe like another question too, like the next level is, what am I hearing right now? As we begin to understand and decipher those things within ourselves. Oh man, my baby's losing it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. As we begin to understand and decipher those things for ourselves, like in real time, we'll be able to get a clear picture of what's going on. The comment section just died on me there for a second. Oh no. That's alright, it'll come back on. But yeah, if you feel like you're in a good enough space to be able to post some of those things, man, share them. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? And the reason why I'm asking that is because although you get onto these power hours and you see someone just like this little talking head or whatever, or sometimes many talking heads, we're here, we're able to collaborate, we're able to move on and to help each other out. And so I hope that what I'm saying is helpful to you, but believe and trust that what you have to say can be helpful to others as well. But I have a story that I wanted to share with everyone today, and it's a story that comes from my mom's people, and it's funny because a lot of our stories are just like orally passed down. Yeah, I heard the story a lot growing up, and I suppose I heard it in a few different ways. And as I was hearing the story, it began to change for me. And I unknowingly began to change some of the things in the story. But I like the story that I tell, so I'm going to tell it to you guys. I didn't know that until I told it, and my grandma was like, what the heck? Yeah, but there's some parts in there. I was like, oh, shoot, okay, my bad. So this story comes from my people, but has been adapted, I guess, for my own needs and life. And I want to share that with you guys now. There was an encampment in our old territory, and there was a chief who was there, and he had a daughter, and this little baby was beautiful. She was beautiful, and she was loved by everybody, and she was given this name or title, I guess, to go along with her name, And the title was Ade Matan, which means favorite daughter. And so she was the favorite daughter of the people. So as she began to grow up, she got all the nice clothes. Everything was like buckskin and beaded and quilled and painted. And she was looking fly all the time. And everybody else had like ratty rezzy hair, but not her. It was always like nice and smooth and beautiful. And this little girl, as she was growing up, because she was so loved and adored by everybody, constantly carried everywhere. Like her feet didn't touch the ground. And as she was going on throughout her journey, she also wasn't given much responsibility. She could just play. She could just do whatever she wants. And everybody treated her with the love and respect that her father wanted her to be treated with. And she grew up and started to approach the age of young woman. And as she started to get closer to this age, the people, in this encampment started noticing that she doesn't actually know how to do much. And so there was this council that was called, and this council that was called brought our leadership together for the purpose of helping this young woman. I just wanted to stop there. This story, I didn't know until I had my daughter and our 3-year-old son. How beautiful would that be if we as a people met on behalf of our young ones for the purpose solely to help them step into a better life? Like, that's awesome. So this council gets together and they're talking about this young woman. She's pretty cute. We all like her a lot, that's for sure. But she's got to do something, man. Like, to us, there are certain things that we need to be able to do in order to be able to claim the title as a member of this community. And she needs to do those things too. Rites of passage. And so her dad's sitting there like, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying. The only thing is, like, I love her so much, I don't actually want her to work. But I'll do something. I'll give her something. So she was given a chore, and this chore was to go and get water. And then she would go down to the river every morning when she was woken up, and she would go and get water, and she would bring it back. And when she brought the water back, well, that was it. That was her chore. So she could go do whatever she wanted. She went around, played, had a bunch of fun with all of her friends. Well, she had this chore growing up through her young woman years and into her adult years. Yeah, so past her moon. And she began to spend, as time went on, more and more time down by the water. That was an interesting move for her. Maybe she was just taking more time to herself. Maybe she would go for a daily swim. Didn't know, but she was taking more time. So one day, her dad asked, "Hey, what are you doing down there?" She said, "Oh, nothing. I'm just, don't worry about it." And that was kind of the interactions they would have when it was brought up. And so her dad would sit there, okay, all right, and kind of move on. Well, time went on, and every morning they had the same routine. Baby girl, come here. And you brush her hair and paint her face and chalk her dress and send her on her way, looking good. So she would get down there to the water and spend all this time. Come back later and later in the day. Well, eventually she came back, and one day her dress was dirty and her paint was smeared and her hair was messy. He was like, "What the hell are you doing down there?" So he asked, "What's going on, man?" And she says, "Oh, don't worry about it, Dad. No, it's nothing." I said, "Okay, all right." And they both let it go. Well, the next morning, same thing. Hey, my girl, come here. Brush her hair, chalk her dress, paint her face, and send her on her way. She went down to the water, come back messy. It didn't sit right with her dad. And he became uneasy about this, so he asked, "What's going on?" And again, she kind of just brushed it off. "Oh, nothing, don't worry about it, it's okay." And that was the end of the interaction. Well, having been treated like this for so long and being not communicated with in a way that he felt comfortable or safe with, in modern terms, he decided to do something about it. So he got her brothers, and he got them all together, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to follow your sister down there and figure out what's going on. Yeah, because something's not right." I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it, Dad." So the next morning, "Emma, come here, my girl. brushed her hair, painted her face, chalked her dress, and sent her on her way. While she was going down, she was followed by her brothers. And so they came down to this river. It was just on the outside of the encampment, down a ways. And they sat there and they watched her. And she went on the other side of the river and called into the trees. And what she did was, in our language, as close as you can get to catcalling. It's not catcalling, but it's like, hey, baby. And out of the woods comes this freaking bear, man. A bear. And this bear jumps on her and starts licking her face. And they're rolling around and they're like, oh, yeah, I love you so much. And the brother's like, what the freaking hell? So they're kind of weirded out by all this. They don't really know what to make of this. So they go home and like, oh, man, Dad, don't know what to tell you about this. Pretty sure our sister's in love with the bear. And he's like, yo, kill that bear. So they head down to the river again. And as they're going down, their sister passes them. And then she gets home. She didn't see them on the way back. And her dad now has this like, oh yeah, kind of gotcha attitude. So he's like, hey, what happened down at the river? She comes back all like messy. and as he's asking this question, he gets blown off again. She goes, oh, don't worry about it, Dad. Nothing. It's nothing to worry about. Well, her father now feeling like he has a leg up on the competition. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you. I already know. I've already taken care of this. He doesn't say anything back to her. Okay. And they carry on with their night like anything else. Well, those boys come back and they say, yeah, we killed that bear. Well, the next morning, they wake up. She comes over, brushes her hair, paints her face, chalks her dress, sends her on her way. She goes down to the river. She gets down there, she walks on the other side of the bank. She calls into the woods, hey, baby. But nothing comes. And she sits for a while. And nothing comes. Well, she begins to get worried. So she calls again. Well, the day's pressing on, man. That sun is moving across the sky. And she's not sure what to do about this. So she asks the river, sister, have you seen my bear? And the river stands up and speaks to her. And the river says, no, I haven't seen your bear. And so she prays about it. And as she prays about it, a messenger comes. And this messenger sits and talks with her for a while. She says, I'm looking for my bear. The messenger says to her, oh, yeah, I know your bear is. He's dead. Your brothers killed him. And her heart begins to break, man. Like, she doesn't know what to make of the situation. And she's confused. But there's just a lot of everything. And with all of this angst and confusion, she asks to see the bear. Can you take me to him? Yeah, I can take you to him. Follow me. So they follow one another into the woods, and she finds the bear. For those of you unfamiliar with our warrior practices, many, many warriors painted their arrows so that they could tell who shot what and when. And she sees the bear, and the marks on the arrows are her brothers. She's like, oh, okay. At this moment, her heart breaks. It was beginning to break, didn't know what to feel, but now it's broken. And it's sad. And it's in pain, like that little baby scream if you heard it. And as she's feeling all these things, she begins to decide what to do with them. And as she decides what to do with them, her chosen emotion becomes anger. This will be her reaction to the situation. This will be her response to what's happening. Filled with anger, this little girl, loved by everybody, asks to become a bear. The messenger looks at her, looks at the bear. Okay, there's no reason for this bear to die. They've done nothing with it. This is a disrespectful way to kill an animal or to harvest. So yeah, this is an even trade. This is a good trade. And she turns into a bear. With this new body power, she carries with her her same mind, same eyes, and same heart, filled with anger and sadness and pain. She goes back to camp, and she starts to rip that place to pieces. as she's tearing through all these lodges, looking for her brothers, her dad comes out and sees her. Like, oh crap, it's that bear, my boy's killed. And so he starts to freak out a little bit, beelines it for his horse. Everybody's getting out of camp, man. Everybody's out. And she's, boom, after her dad. She's going for her dad, boom, sees her brothers, starts beelining for her brothers. When brothers jump on their horses, they start riding super hard. And she's chasing them, and she's relentless, and they're not stopping. And they go, and they go, and they go, and they go so hard that their horses die. And their horses fall down dead, and they get up, and they start running because they don't want to get caught. And they're going, and they're going, and they're going. And they realize that they're running out of energy too, and that bear is getting closer. They are fearing for their lives. They don't know what to do, and so they ask for help. Please, Creator, save us. We don't want to die. Please help us. And they're reaching out in all the ways that they know how. And eventually a rock says, jump on me, I'll keep you safe. And they jump on this rock, and the bear gets closer and closer, and the rock begins to climb and climb and climb, and she's clawing at the rock, and she's getting up higher and higher and trying to get to these boys. The rock goes and goes and goes, and it stops. It can't go any further. But she did not stop either. She's getting closer. And those boys are fearing for their lives. Please help us, please help us. Calling out to the sky. And the sky says, jump to me and I'll keep you safe. So those boys jumped up into the sky and they became stars. And in late spring, they sit above Devil's Tower, which is the rock that carried them to the sky. So these boys stuck up there in the sky forever. And they're there, and they're safe. When she comes down off that rock, hurt, upset, and she doesn't know what to do with all this still. But she does what I think anyone would do. She goes home. And she gets home. And people start to see this bear come in. They're like, oh my gosh, it's those bears. And the boys are gone. They haven't come back. And she start freaking out. And as she gets closer to the encampment, her dad comes out. And dad sees her. And feeling the loss now of his children. Because his baby girl never came back either. And his boys haven't come back, only this bear. He stakes himself to the ground, begins to sing his song, and he's preparing to fight to the death. This is another way that we count coup. And as he's standing there waiting for the bear to get closer and closer, he realizes that the bear's not really trying to kill him, it's just kind of coming up to him. He sees the bear and he feels the bear. He's like, oh, somehow he knows it's my baby girl. And she sits down. He sits down too. And they're both just sitting there with their feelings kind of defeated. And then for a long while, they just sit in silence. So he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say. And so he just makes a treaty, an arrangement with this bear, his baby girl, and promises that we're not going to kill bears anymore. And she just gets up and walks off. So to this day, right now, I am personally unable to kill bears. I don't see that as a hindrance. It's just the way it goes. And that's kind of the end of the story. Some of our traditional stories kind of end that way. I mean, I remember like hearing some of these stories and like, yeah, and then they died. And that was like, hey, I'm like, what the frick? What kind of story is that? There's a lot of great things to get from this story. So we're going to break this down as a group here for a second. In my mind, in the way that I tell this story, there are a few things that are super important that happened, and a few things that are super important that did not happen as well. First, it was a breakdown in communication that caused those things. Yeah? Baby girl didn't tell her dad what was going on. Her dad didn't tell baby girl that he thought he knew what was going on. And her brothers just went along with everything without, like, consulting much, right? I think if my dad was like, hey, go kill the animal lover of your sister, I'd be like, I think I have a few questions before I carry out this mission, but I might be on board for this. So there's a lot of missed opportunities here in that story, and that was what happened. The way that I see this story being told, I suppose the right way when it's told by like my family, and the way that I tell this is that the lack of communication came because of some sense of fear. Baby girl didn't feel like she could tell her dad what was going on. Maybe there was like a fear of like, oh, you know, I see everybody here in love with humans and I happen to be in love with a bear. Maybe that's kind of weird. Don't want to talk about it. Dad being like, okay, I don't really know how to bring this up either. I mean, I think in today's world, the talk of like sexuality with your children can be kind of strange. And so you also have the brothers who just carried out this stuff, not really knowing what they were doing, were met with the consequences of their actions, freaked out, and fear drove them away from home and up into the sky where they cannot come back from. Fear and anger really were the driving factors of this story and is what led this family to fall apart. Fear and anger have no place with us as people. Does that mean like you can never feel fear? Does that mean you can never feel angry? No, that's not what I mean at all. But I mean when we act from fear, when we act from anger, we become like that baby girl. We become like that dad. And we become like those boys. We'll kill ourselves in the process and we'll turn into something else. We'll chase everyone that we love away. Baby girl never came back from being a bear. That dad never got his kids back. And those boys can't come home. It's like that. It is like that. I have seen that truth be lived out in many different places, languages, and cultures. My invitation to everyone here, and as lengthy as this conversation has been, is to invite balance into our lives by focusing on abundance. Yeah? And the reason why I say that is because if we focus on like, oh, don't be afraid, oh, don't be angry, that's going to become the focus of our minds. I don't want to be those things. Is it good to know what we're against? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that 100% we got to know what we're against. I think more importantly, and this is my own opinion, more importantly, we have to know what we're for. And in knowing what we're for, we will begin to understand why we are against X, Y, Z. And not just be doing things just to do things, yeah? And so the whole thing of this power hour, purpose and progress. You have purpose. You have purpose. I'm sorry for pointing. You have purpose. And you have purpose because you are loved by everything in existence. The trees breathe for you. The oceans breathe for you. The animals wait to offer themselves for you. The water waits to sustain you. That is such an uneven trade, man. You gotta like lean down, scoop it up with your hand and throw your face in, and you can live. The natural world and everything in existence has chosen its purpose to be your success in this life. And so if nothing else, if with all of the stuff in the media and your own life experience, if you're like, I don't know what my purpose should be, let's be happy. Let's start there. Let's be happy. And let's invite others to do that too. And in terms of progress, my asking is this, that you choose this beautiful life in any and every way that you can. If it means you just wake up and just decide, I'm going to make it through the day, then that's awesome. I hope we can get to a place where we wake up every day and we're like, this breath that I'm being tied to my ancestors with is a gift from Creator. And today I'm going to live because I am loved. We all of us who are blessed with the life that we're given, regardless of if we have disabilities of any kind or impairments of any type, we all have been given this gift. And in our indigenous cultures, I have not met a peoples yet who the correct way of living is to turn a gift away. Use the gift and become powerful. As you do that, you're going to invite others naturally. By doing that, you're going to invite them to be powerful too. So if you haven't heard it yet today, I love you. And you are important. And I want this little snippet in time for those of us here, watching it in real time with one another, to know and to feel that. And for those who are watching it at some future date, I want you to know that too. So go forward in power and have a good day. And I hope that you guys come back and join us tomorrow for our next Power Hour. And for as long as we're doing this, because, shoot, don't really know how long we're going to be in this whole pandemic lifestyle thing. But definitely keep coming back. You're awesome. Thank you for being with us. And we will see you again soon. Bye, guys. Oh, I don't know how to end this thing. Psych.